Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I found a great clip of Bishop Barron talking about the reality that God is atemporal. Now, 40 years of study into St. Thomas Aquinas will lead to this kind of insight. You will not understand the reality of eternity and how it makes sense of the afterlife and how it makes sense of your present here and now unless you really grapple with the totality of St. Thomas Aquinas's theology. What Bishop Barron is going to explain here really is a prophetic insight into the accumulation of studying St. Thomas Aquinas, and he's going to explain this eloquently and succinctly for us so that we understand it. This is mind-boggling. Check this out.
Eternity is not endless time. That's like a vampire's life or something, endless time. Eternity, as Aquinas says, is beyond time. The eternal is outside of time and therefore inclusive of all time, if that makes sense. So I'm stuck in time now, meaning that I can't get to the past except through books and maybe videos of the past. I can't get to the future except by means of imagination and anticipation. But when the eternal breaks through, I'm lifted up into a realm that includes all of space and time. So I can be a contemporary of someone from the distant past. Think here in the Catholic spiritual life of our conversation with the saints. So I mean, in an ordinary framework of the saints, oh yeah, they lived a long time ago, and weren't they interesting and inspiring people? But if you experience the breakthrough, no, they're not just from the distant past. You can be right now in dialogue with the saints. You can ask for their help. You can ask for their intercession. So Jesus speaking to Moses and Elijah, isn't it wonderful too? At Mass, we purposely surround ourselves in our church buildings with images of the saints and the angels. Of course. Because that's the place of breakthrough where the more appears. I love this detail. Luke mentioned that Peter and his companions had been overcome by sleep at one point, but now they were fully awake. This is typical biblical symbolism. Sleep in the Bible is not good. Now I get it. I like to sleep. It's a good thing. But sleep in the Bible is a sign of spiritual inattention. Think of the disciples sleeping in the Garden of Gethsemane when Jesus is trying to pray. And he says, you couldn't even watch with me for an hour? Paul says, awake, O sleeper, and rise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. They were asleep. See, that's the condition of most of us most of the time. Meaning, we're living so thoroughly in this world of ordinary experience that we're asleep. We're not aware of the higher, of the more, of the greater. We're oblivious to it. It's like we're unconscious. We don't know anything about it. But when the great more breaks through into our lives, now we are awake. We are aware of it. And again, that's what prayer is, everybody. That's what prayer is. It's being awake. Wide awake, eyes wide open. Chesterton's comment that the statues outside of Chartres are not closed-eyed, they're open-eyed. They're looking, they're awake, they're alive. This is why, too, think of the great mystics who've had experiences of the other world in a very vivid way. Think of Bernadette of Lourdes. She wanted to go back to that spot. Nothing would stop her. She was awake, alive to a higher world, and that's where she wanted to go. And this is, of course, why Peter says, Master, it's good that we're here. Yeah. I get it. When you sense that higher world, that's it. You want it. But now here's the thing, and I'll close with this. And I know, I get it. Peter wants to stay on that mountain all the time. Bernadette wanted to stay at the grotto of Lourdes. Of course she did. And someday, everybody, on high in heaven, we will be with the angels and saints and able to stay there all the time, wide awake. But in God's mysterious providence, in this life, we glimpse this higher realm. We rejoice in it, but then we're sent back down the mountain. Now, why? Why? So that we too can be radiant with this experience and share it with everybody we know. See, that's why Peter, James, and John, they don't stay on top of the mountain. They go down, but boy, they caught some of the light. They got some of this light, and they're now going to carry it to everyone they know. And see, here's the beautiful thing. I stand here today in the year 2025 as a Catholic bishop. Well, it's Peter, Peter, the first pope, Peter, the rock upon whom the church is built. I've got any sense of this reality because Peter came down the mountain. So when you experience this, love it, savor it, enjoy it, but then come down the mountain of transfiguration for the benefit of the world. And God bless you.
So the main insight from this video is Bishop Barron talking about that St. Thomas Aquinas principle at the beginning about the fact that God is outside of time. Since God is outside of time, that means a number of things, but one of the things that is so paramount that we see is that eternity is not necessarily a duration of infinite time. It's an awakeness that everything is present to you, everything is vivid, everything is more alive to you than you can ever imagine, and it's glorious and it's beautiful and it's comforting and all of these things that it's meant to be. Now, I didn't tell you the context in the beginning of the video, but Bishop Barron is talking about the transfiguration when Peter, James, and John go up into the mountain and they break through and they see this fully alive, awakened, transcendental reality that one day we will all experience. Now, Bishop Barron is making the point that there are ways in which you can experience that now. You can break through the buffered self, as he often talks about. But what we need to see is that the afterlife, the life with God, that can only be glimpsed at in this life, is to be fully alive. It's to be fully awake. It's the beatific vision, as St. Thomas Aquinas thinks about. One of the things that I've been thinking about recently a lot is Jesus says, "If you seek, you shall find." There is a real sense in which if we seek after Jesus, we will find him. Now, that includes in my personal, study, for example, of St. Thomas Aquinas. St. Thomas Aquinas wrote the Summa, right? And he wrote and he wrote and he wrote and he wrote day after day, month after month, year after year. But he had a Eucharistic, miraculous experience where he encountered the risen Christ, like a transfiguration type of experience. All of our seeking, all of our studying, much like Bishop Barron here, is meant to lead us to fundamental conclusions that points us to something that transcends even the thoughts and ideas that we garner and that we gather from our studies. Are you fully alive to the reality that there is something greater beyond this world? Our contemporary society wants us to get fixated upon the temporal, physical, material, consumeristic goods that this world provides. But there's something so much greater. Have you come outside of all of that and are perceiving the fully awoken, if that's a word, reality that we live into and can have glimpses of in this life? I think the older you get, the more you realize that that experience of being face to face, face a face with Jesus is coming. And so this reality becomes alive into you. Now, if you're young and watching this video, even if you're old and not watching this and are watching this video, man, reflect on that more. Think about it. Revel in it. And I guess one of the implications of what I'm saying is you're going to have to study. You're going to have to seek. You're going to have to study like Bishop Barron does. You're going to have to study St. Thomas Aquinas. You're going to have to seek, and you're going to have to dig, and you're going to have to plunge into these great heroes of the faith and pray to them and think about what all of that means and what they lived for and what they accomplished. Hebrews 11, by faith, by faith, by faith. All of the great heroes of old, all the great saints of old, they reached the place they were longing for. And of course, in Hebrews, it talks about they did not receive in this life what they were wanting or promised, but they were looking towards a heavenly home where their maker and its king is God, Jesus. So Reflect on Jesus, and don't just reflect on Jesus, study him. Study what other people have said about him. Find him in the Word of God, the Bible. These things lead to a state of awakeness that transcends the temporal limits that we experience in this life. All right, that's all I have for this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Remember that Christianity is Christ, and without him, there is no Christianity. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.